Today, we're diving into something incredibly exciting, the highly anticipated iPadOS 19 update and the major features you can expect from Apple's upcoming release. As always, I appreciate you all joining me here on Techno Trend Zone, where we explore the latest tech trends, Apple updates, iPad productivity features, and all the software innovations that shape our digital lives, with the Apple Worldwide Developers Conference 2025 rapidly approaching, scheduled to kick off on June 9, 2025, the tech world is buzzing with anticipation. WWDC is always Apple's biggest annual event where they showcase cutting-edge software advancements and reveal what's next for their ecosystem. This year, it seems the spotlight will shine brightly on the iPad, especially with iPadOS 19 bringing some truly game-changing features that could redefine productivity and multitasking on Apple's powerful tablets. Over the years, the iPad has evolved from being just a content consumption device to something much more capable. However, despite its raw processing power, many users have felt that iPadOS hasn't fully unlocked the potential of the hardware, particularly when it comes to professional workflows, multitasking capabilities, and system flexibility. So in this video, I'm going to give you a detailed breakdown of the top 4 big changes expected in iPadOS 19, sprinkled with additional insights, fresh rumors, and what they could mean for us, whether you're a creative professional, a student, or someone using an iPad as their primary computing device. Starting things off, one of the most noticeable improvements coming to iPadOS 19 is expected to be a comprehensive visual refresh across the entire user interface. Apple hasn't significantly redesigned the default app icons or system aesthetics since around the time of iOS 7, which was back in 2013. Since then, minor tweaks have been made, but overall, the look has remained largely static. With iPadOS 19, Apple is rumored to introduce a sleek, modern, and dynamic visual overhaul. Based on early leaks and insider speculation, the system icons will likely shift toward rounded, more fluid designs, possibly borrowing visual cues from the Vision Pro operating system with subtle transparency and soft gradients. Expect more consistent color palettes, refined iconography, and smoother animations that create a more immersive and polished user experience. This redesign isn't just cosmetic, it aligns the iPad's interface more closely with Apple's broader ecosystem strategy that seems to be converging across iPhone, iPad, Mac, and now Vision Pro. This visual consistency could pave the way for a more unified cross-device workflow, making transitions between Apple products seamless and intuitive. While a UI refresh won't necessarily increase productivity on its own, it's still significant. A cleaner, more modern interface enhances the overall user experience, making day-to-day interactions with your device feel more fluid, intentional, and enjoyable. One of the standout rumored features of iPadOS 19 is the introduction of a dedicated Mac-like menu bar, an addition that could dramatically transform productivity on the iPad. For years, power users have pointed out that navigating complex applications like Microsoft Office, Adobe Creative Cloud, or even Apple's own productivity suite on the iPad can feel unintuitive and limited compared to macOS. Many essential functions are buried under multi-layered menus, making them harder to access without a mouse or trackpad. The new persistent menu bar is expected to solve this. This feature will likely provide contextual, app-specific options that dynamically adapt based on what you're working on, very much like the macOS experience. Whether you're editing a Pages document, working in Excel, or creating a video in LumaFusion, you could have immediate access to all relevant controls right at the top of your screen. There's still some debate about whether this new menu bar will require a physical keyboard and trackpad, or if it will be fully optimized for touch input. Early rumors are mixed. Some sources suggest touch support will be prioritized to ensure it works across all iPads, while others hint that the full menu functionality may be better suited for those using external accessories. Either way, this menu bar could be a significant leap forward in closing the gap between the iPad and Mac productivity experiences. It might finally allow iPadOS to feel less like a mobile-first operating system and more like a serious desktop contender, especially for those using their iPads for professional work or academic projects. For now, everything we know about this feature comes from leaks, mock-ups, and speculation, much of which has been AI-generated. We'll need to wait for the official WWDC 2025 announcement to see exactly how Apple plans to implement this transformative feature. Major upgrades to Stage Manager, multitasking reimagined. If you've been following iPad developments, you'll know that Stage Manager, introduced in iPadOS 16, was Apple's first big attempt to bring a more flexible multitasking experience to the iPad. While it was an exciting step forward, the feature initially launched with bugs, limitations, and a somewhat clunky interface. The great news? iPadOS 19 is rumored to introduce significant improvements to Stage Manager, taking multitasking to a whole new level. Some of the most anticipated upgrades include increased window flexibility, the ability to resize, snap, and overlap windows with much greater freedom, expanded window limits. Currently, Stage Manager supports up to 4 simultaneous app windows, but with iPadOS 19, this may be increased to 6 or more, depending on your iPad model's processing power. Enhanced external display support. One of the biggest frustrations for iPad power users is the inability to fully utilize multiple monitors. Presently, you can only share your iPad's primary display, and the secondary display is limited. iPadOS 19 is expected to enable proper multi-monitor setups where you can independently run and control apps across displays, a long-requested feature that would finally push the iPad closer to MacBook-level versatility. Refined interface elements. The recently used app sidebar, which currently feels awkward and takes up valuable screen real estate, is expected to get a design overhaul. For better usability and less clutter, for those using the iPad as their main computer, these Stage Manager improvements could be game-changing. Better multitasking, seamless window management, and multi-display support will dramatically enhance productivity and position the iPad as a legitimate laptop replacement for an even broader range of users. Apple Intelligence, smarter, more capable. Siri and AI tools. When Apple Intelligence debuted, it brought useful features like AI-powered text rewriting, in-app image generation, and more intelligent Siri responses. But so far, the capabilities have felt somewhat limited, especially when compared to the breakthroughs we've seen from platforms like ChatGPT and Google Gemini. A smarter, more conversational Siri, Apple's digital assistant, has often lagged behind its competitors in terms of context awareness and task completion. Siri in iPadOS 19 is rumored to be much more conversational, proactive, and capable of handling complex, multi-step tasks seamlessly. Advanced AI features built into core apps. For example, in the Notes app, you can already create AI-generated images and summarize text. Apple is expected to expand these capabilities by adding context-aware suggestions, intelligent formatting, and AI-powered project management tools. On-device AI processing. Apple has been focusing heavily on on-device intelligence to prioritize user privacy and faster processing. Expect more Apple Intelligence tasks to be handled locally, leveraging the impressive processing power of Apple Silicon chips like the M3 and M4 series. Enhanced visual AI. Although current AI image creation on iPadOS is functional, it's still not as refined as competing models. In iPadOS 19, Apple is expected to deliver significant improvements in AI-driven image generation, with better accuracy, fewer artifacts, and more customization options.